Hey everyone, this is Rashad, and this is our journey to a million. Today, I'm going to be doing a reaction video to Dave Ramsey, and this is basically going to be about whether or not it's the right time to buy a house. So let's go ahead and dive into this.
Craig is in New York City. How can we help today?
All right. So, yeah, I'm 24 years old. My whole life I was told to buy a home. And now that I'm of age to do so for myself and my wife, have a baby on the way coming January, I'm just scratching my head wondering if it's even worth it anymore. Where I live, I can't even buy like a burnt down shack for 350. So
That's the God's truth.
yeah.
Well, it feels a little hopeless right now for you in your particular situation, and you're feeling the weight of the responsibility of the new life that's getting ready to come to you, and you're like, holy crap, this just got real.
Exactly.
Yeah. So all of that to say, you might not be ready to buy a house today, and that's okay.
Mm.
When you're saying your whole life you've been told you should buy a house, but do you want to buy a house?
I do want to buy a house, the freedom of.
So that's a really good question she asked. A lot of people are told that they have to go to college when they get older, or they're told that they need to own a house when they come of age. And I like the question she asked because it's really testing him. Like, is it something you want to do, or is it something that somebody else has planned for you your entire life?
Owning it is a lot nicer than we have a really good situation. We only pay $1,400 a month, which where we live is like amazing.
Oh yeah, that's a deal.
Yeah, so
So I don't know what they live in for $1,400 a month, almost anywhere in the country, but in New York, to be able to have shelter for $1,400 a month, you really can't beat that. So the fact that they have a $1,400 a month place in New York is absolutely amazing. I don't know if that's a studio or if it's a 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom. I really don't know, but the fact that they have a $1,400 payment is something that would be very difficult to walk away from. Now, if they have like a 300 or 400 square foot studio, then okay, I can see that. But even then, that just seems like it's really cheap.
I just want to also thank you guys because of you. We're able to pay off $30,000 of student loan debt. I could say I'm debt free now, so which is awesome. But it's taken a long time to just stash away, and it's we're about a year into the process now.
Good
so
for you.
Probably have another.
Well, if you don't buy a house for 2 years or 3 years, that's fine. That's not the end of the world. And you're in a very expensive market, so it's going to take you getting on top of the income side of things and getting a good, strong down payment to make it happen. Let's pan back from that and go back to your original question, which kind of had a hopelessness tone to it. It's like, is it even worth it? Is it even worth it? Well, yeah, it is worth it. It's not worth doing it stupid. And it's not worth buying a house you can't afford and all that kind of stuff. So take your time and do it with wisdom, but it's worth it. And here's why: three things happen with home ownership that make you want to do it as a long.
And before Dave continues, I agree with Dave. I think that if you can afford to buy a house, it's always worth it. If you can't afford to buy a house, it's never worth it. So, for instance, if you have the money and you're comfortably able to make that payment, Dave says a 15-year at 25% maximum of your take home pay. Well, that's not always going to be realistic. However, I do think that once you've worked the numbers out, as I've even said on previous videos, once you work the numbers out and you can comfortably afford it, then it's the time to buy it. It's definitely worth buying. But if you work the numbers out and you're going to be house poor every month, then you absolutely should not buy.
Long-term play versus renting your whole life. Okay. Number one, rents go up every year.
Facts.
Since God was a boy, rents go up every year. I've had my real estate license since 1978. Rents go up every year in every market. They go up every year. They don't go down. And every year. And so you're going to have, every year, more and more and more of your money is going to go out the door for housing. And if you buy a home and you lock down your payment, your rent doesn't go up anymore. That's number one. Number two, the value of the house goes up. And when you rent, obviously you don't own anything that's going up. Number three, as we have studied millionaires, 10,000 of them, we find the primary two things that are in their bucket that allow them to build their first $1 million to $5 million worth of net worth is their 401k, Roth IRA retirement plan in good mutual funds like we teach, and a paid-for house.
So let me just touch on a few things he talked about. So, you know, when we look at the study of millionaires that they have done in the past, you know, a lot of those have been teachers. I think teacher is number 3 on the list, and that's because they are able to maximize their 403b benefits. Then you have those 401k millionaires as well. And of course, these individuals are also looking at their Roth IRAs and HSAs and other retirement tools that they can utilize in order to, you know, work towards becoming millionaires. But like he said, having a paid for house is also a huge part of that. And Dave talked about how when you get that mortgage, you are locking in your payment. There a little bit, I'll disagree a little bit, because as you see rent increases for the most part, because if you think about it, expenses for the landlord are also increasing at the same time. You have the taxes that are going up, and you have the, you know, property insurance that's going up as well. So those same things are going to be true when you are a homeowner. You're going to have your principal and interest, which basically will stay the same, but then you're going to have those taxes and insurance payments, which are going to increase. And I've seen it myself. My payment has gone up quite a bit when you're looking at the tax and insurance side of the coin. So he didn't mention that. I don't know if he's going to get to that, but I did want to touch on that some.
That has gone up in value. And so getting to work to pay that off. So it's a great wealth building tool. It stabilizes the largest line item in your budget, which is housing. And if the largest line item in your budget is going up every year, that sucks.
Yeah, it definitely leaves you vulnerable. But I think in your situation, it's kind of important to separate things out. So you've got your personal situation and thinking through, is this the right timing for us? And then you have, you know, the market and the world and everything like that. Don't let your situation and thinking maybe you should wait a year or two make you start getting negative about the market, start looking at news articles, start getting hopeless. I mean, it's so easy to get drugged down into those feelings of negativity, especially when the whole news cycle is talking about how bad real estate is and how there's not hope for our generation and you can't buy a house now. Like, don't let your feelings and fears, you know, get wrapped up in what the world is saying right now.
Yeah, if timing for you is bad.
Hey, some really good points there. So let me go ahead and just kind of give my point of view. The $1,400 a month is dirt cheap. Like you're not going to beat that anywhere. And the fact that he has that in New York City is just phenomenal. Like he needs to really take advantage of that $1,400 a month payment. If I were to have a conversation with this young man and his wife, I would tell them, hey, stay in that $1,400 a month apartment or whatever you have as long as possible. So what you do is you take the projected payment that you would have, you know, for a mortgage, for something you really can afford or something you really want. Who knows, 600, 700,000, who knows? But let's suppose your payment would be $4,000 a month. So what I personally would do, I would stay in a $1,400 a month place, and then I would sock away $2,600 a month, just straight up in a money market account. And if you're really looking at like a 5-year plan, maybe you could even look at doing some kind of index fund or, you know, maybe a total market fund. I don't know when you're looking at 5 years and above. But for the most part, I would look at socking away the difference between what my expected mortgage payment will be and what my current rental payment is. Now, here's the other thing. If he's looking at doing what Dave Ramsey talks about, when Dave Ramsey talks about the 25% on a 15-year mortgage, well, then that payment will be a lot more for the most part, right? So let's suppose it will be $4,000 on a 30-year term. Let's suppose it'll be $5,200 on a 30-year. I'm just throwing numbers out there. $5,500 on a 30-year. Well, now you're looking at a $4,100 savings rate that you're looking at. You're continuing to pay that rent and you're socking away as much money as you possibly can so that you could either do a 50% down payment in the future or 20% or whatever you want to do. But my thing is that I would just continue to sock away, just keep taking advantage of that $1,400 a month rental payment so that in the future I could possibly even pay cash. It just depends. I don't know what their income is, but I'm loving that $1,400 payment. Like literally, if I was in New York City and I had that, and the place was, a place that my wife and I and the kids could comfortably live in without killing each other, then yeah, I definitely would want to stay at that $1,400 and just sock as much away as possible. But hey, it's a great question. I agree with them for the most part. I think that they gave some pretty good advice. The only thing that I would push back on is just and I wouldn't even necessarily say push back on, but I just wanted to reiterate that there's not a fixed payment when you have a mortgage, when you own a home, when you're buying a home. The only fixed part is the principal and interest payment. And the only thing that switches with that is that every month your principal gets, goes down. It goes down because you are paying more towards your principal and less towards interest. But everything else, for the most part, each year is going to shift. And for the most part, it's going to increase and not decrease. Every now and then you'll be able to protest your taxes and get a decrease, but usually your taxes and insurance increase. So, hey, great video by Dave Ramsey, and I hope you all enjoyed it. If you have any advice or any comments or questions, please drop them in the comments below. All right, I appreciate it. If you are not always or already following the channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel and like this video and share. Thank you very much. Once again, I'm Rashad, and this is our journey to $1 million.